This week on Sailor Stories, we're with Magnus and Camila on their rather large trawler boat called Timeless. We're here today with Magnus and Camila on board their beautiful trawler boat called Timeless. And first of all, how big is your trawler boat?
It's a 68 footer.
68 feet. And how wide is it?
It's 6 meters wide.
6 meters wide.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty big boat. It's like a little ship, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's probably what they're aiming for when they built a small ship.
Yeah.
That's what was the thought.
And she was built in Italy.
Yeah, in Sardinia in 2008.
And you actually bought her in Spain.
We bought her in Spain and freighted her back home to Sweden because we knew we had a lot of things to do to prepare her.
Back in a little bit of history then, how much boating experience have you two had?
Well, I have been like since a small kid, sailing boats, race boats, fast sailing boats. She's been around boats.
Yeah, sailing and motor.
Yeah, sailing and motorboats.
How long have you two been together when you decided to go off on this crazy new lifestyle?
Yeah, we are an odd couple. We met 22 years ago.
Yeah, 1998.
Yeah, and after 17 years we got married.
Yes.
For some reason. We waited a bit long with that, but after a long 15 years of competing with horses, something completely different, and touring around Europe with horses, and I actually has 2 second runner-up as a European champion in my horse competing thing.
Congratulations.
But I was an amateur.
Yeah.
And we had a horse farm and we had all those things and a big truck, and that was actually like living in a boat because it was the same things.
Yeah.
So we kind of been nomads for all our life, you know. It wasn't too much of a time back home.
So what sparked the decision then to actually go and sell up and...
as soon as we decided to sell the horses and stop with the horsing and I stopped competing, a boat came up, you know. So I think from selling the horses, we still had a horse farm when we bought our first boat. And that was just to go on the west coast of Sweden and kind of get a feel for, is this something we want to do? And then we met a lot of new friends, of course, boating people.
But we had the first boat in 2 years, and then we bought the other one, and then we have in 3 years, and then we are sailing in Caribbean with catamaran, and we was in Greece and Croatia. And one day we come home and we must do something different.
So you all of a sudden decided you're going to buy a motorboat.
Yeah.
And you're going to move on board and live on it.
Yeah.
And tell us about your journey here, because it's quite a long way from Sweden, isn't it?
Yeah, that's 1970 nautical miles, I think. If you'd say that's in land mile, that's like
56.
Yeah, 56 something.
Yeah. It took
normal miles.
Because it took 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
Yeah.
And
but you stopped on the way, or just?
Yeah, we stopped a couple of times for a couple of days to wait for. Yeah,
27 harbors.
27 harbors, yes. And you have to wait for a weather window sometimes.
Yeah,
and we think a little bit different than you. I mean, no wind is really good.
Yeah. We need the wind. You don't need the wind.
Yeah.
So no wind is really good, and that was new for me also.
Yeah.
Because I'm like that when it's blowing like 50 knots. That's really good, you know, if you're a sailor.
Yeah.
And you have the wind with you. But now I start. No wind at all is the best.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter with this boat. If it's 20 knots actually, you know, and you have it behind you, you don't feel it, you know. No. We probably had the last weather window actually with no wind at all. Yeah. Because it was, you know, everybody has some kind of, you know, going over Biscay. But it was really good weather.
Yeah. The state of the sea must be a big worry for you, isn't it? If it's...
It depends. I'm pretty used to, you know, rough sea. Been sailing in really bad weather. But I had my mother-in-law and Camila with me, and so as a captain you have to make sure that your crew is, you know, has a nice trip. So
So really, there's a lot of similarities you find between sailing a yacht and driving a motorboat.
Yeah, I mean, the navigation is the same thing. The only thing you don't have to take in consider is the wind direction. You know, you can go, but it's easy to go with the wind, even with the motorboat, of course.
Yeah, because she's if you have it in front.
If you go in front of you,
If you have short sea like you have in the Indian Channel, for instance, or in Kattegat back home in Sweden, and this boat is full of diesel, it goes through the waves and it smashes and smashes all the time. That's funny when you. I mean, I remember that all the times you're sailing, when you're cruising somewhere and you're tacking all the time, and you meet somebody in, you know, just, you know, short trousers, and you have all the gears on you. You know how it is.
Now this is monohull sailing, isn't it? You know, I mean, we haven't got our wet weather gear out. Well, once or twice that's been it in nearly 3 years because we're so well protected. And I don't suppose you've got any wet weather gear.
Yeah, we have.
We have.
For some reason, when we are docking, it always starts raining.
I know. That happens to us too.
And talking about docking now, I mean, how easy is it to get? Or did it take you long to master getting this into a slot?
We have a driving station here under the lid, so I can still.
At the back here.
Yeah, it's just, you know, the gears and the bow thrusters.
Yeah.
And I have a yacht control, so I can actually, you know, go around, take a rope, and use the bow thrusters, and I can use the engines just back and forth, not use the throttle, but you click in and click out from that. So that was a thing that, because it's pretty heavy to dock when you're 2 persons. So you have to do some planning, you know, think about the wind, the docking space, and
which line is first, which line is second, and you know, it's
because there's only the 2, and you can't hold anything.
No,
you know,
we use the winches all the time because, I mean, try to pull with your hands. No.
Arms and legs.
That's
away.
really danger actually if you get your fingers in there.
And how about the accommodation? What sort of accommodation do you have on board?
3 cabins, 1 master and 2 guest cabins, 1 with a double bed and 1 with 2 single beds, and both of them have big bathrooms with shower and toilets, so we can have 4 guests if we want, but in my opinion, you know, four persons are, you know, really good. The best is 2 actually.
What was it like when you actually kind of got the boat and you realised that you sold your house and you're going to move on board, and that first sort of week when you actually
it's a process, but of course it takes a couple of weeks to kind of figure this is my home.
It's not a summer house or this is
your home.
This is our home. So
So it takes. I mean, you just said it the other day. Now this is my home. Because when you were in Sweden, you know, a couple of days ago, flying back. Oh, it's good to come home. You know?
It's a real start.
And how long are you planning on spending on this lifestyle?
We had, the original plan was to go to the Caribbean, of course, but since the COVID and everything, we changed that a little and said, let's spend the first 5 years in the Med.
It's so
a big
much
sea.
to see.
It's so much to see in the Med, yes, I would agree with that.
Just tell us a little bit about the systems of the boat. What size engines do you have?
It's 2 big MAN truck engines, 9 liters each, and they are on 630 horsepower each, and that's actually, in a trawler like this, a bit too much, but you never use it.
And how many liters an hour would you use cruising?
If we cruise 6.5 knots, we would use 12 liters an hour, something like that. It's a really big difference between running 8 knots or 6 knots, because 8 knots is like 45 liters an hour.
45.
3 times more.
It does. Every knot does a lot on the consumption of.
We're now going for a tour of the engine room. Man, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cylinder, 2 6 cylinders. 3 inverters.
Yeah, but the inverters are on the other side. I can come down and just show you. That's just battery.
Oh, they're battery chargers, are they?
That's battery chargers, and that's one for the starter batteries and one.
So these are 6-cylinder.
Yeah, man 630 horsepower each. But we never use 630 horsepower. You know.
No, yeah.
It runs 5.5 knots, just clicked in.
Yeah.
So 800 RPM maybe at the most.
Yeah.
If you run 7.5 knots.
And well, I suppose you've got like 3-bladed or 4-bladed props, have you?
But the real inverters are behind you there. These two big ones. So I can run, you know, the fridge and all the 220 outlets and so on those two.
So they're what, 3 kilowatt each? 3,000?
Yeah.
Well,
and that's actually a combi, but I don't use it as a charger. It's just a inverter.
Yeah.
And two
generators.
Yeah, that's mostly for redundancy.
Yeah.
And this is the AC system with the compressors and the cabinet that runs the AC system. And you can run it on heat or you can run it on cold.
Okay.
So now when it's on heat, it makes water that's around 38 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
And the pump runs it through all the fan collectors in the boat.
So you're using the.
We actually lived in it all winter in Sweden, and we didn't have any problems.
No, no. And this is the exhaust, is it?
Yeah, it's the exhaust, and it's a damper.
Yeah.
Interesting, and everything is. So you see, there is, for instance, 2 fuel pumps. So most of the fuel, 6,000 liters, are in the front of the boat. Built into the hull, GPR tanks, and I pump to this day tank.
Okay.
And then I clean it once through that big filter.
Yeah.
And then I clean it again to a rake core, and then I have filters on the engine, because in my opinion a diesel engine that's kind of, you know, normal maintained, and when it's running, it's one thing that makes it stop, and it's bad diesel. Yeah. It's the only thing actually. Yeah. Water or, you know, a lot of shit in the diesel. So. Yeah. Oh, but it's noisy in here, isn't it? Yeah, it's not too bad, but we have a routine every third hour. You do our check, you know, measuring temps. Yeah. And you put your here it's on, and it doesn't roll down here, even in bad sea. So and of course, if you're a person that easily gets seasick, it's not so fun to be here a long time. But you know, and it's a lot of sensor and things you have to check. It's 2 sensors on each axle for running the system, you know, so both engines are on the same RPM automatically. And even for the stabilizers, they need to know how fast the props goes. So they correct, you know, how much movement they use. If it goes slow, they use more. If it goes fast, they use less. So, and it's 2 big water strainers, of course. And this is what you call a cobalt system. So my running of the boat, even the steering and everything, is electric. And it goes down to this, and these are kind of like electric motors. So that runs the gears and the throttle. But if something is really bad, I can just go down here and do it manually. So if everything goes down or you're out of electricity or whatever. And that's the same with the steering. It's 1 hydraulic steering pump, and it's electric that runs. So the rudders are back here. It's not easy to get to them. And this is a big electric cabinet with, when you turn everything, 22, and it's crazy big things they built in there. The biggest fuse is 125 amps, I think.
Big.
And it's a big, you know, thing. So they're gonna last, you know, over the boat's life. Yeah. So in some parts they really, you know, built big things, and the thrusters and the stables are hydraulic. So that's the tank for hydraulic oil. And it's side power system, so they have electric and hydraulic.
This is bow thrusters.
Yeah, bow thrusters back and forth. And the thing is, when you have them hydraulic, you run them constantly. Yeah. Electric one you can't run constantly. It won't be good for the batteries and won't be good for the motor. So, and they have separate cooling so the tank so the oil never gets warm.
And you've got two. Well, you've actually got three cockpits, so to speak, haven't you? Because you've got the bridge deck, the fly deck.
Yeah.
You've got the front one, and then you got this little one you were telling us about here for mooring.
The only thing it's when you moor, especially when you back up.
Yeah.
And even if you mooring with the side to a big dock, you use that station, because I usually take the line back here and use that station. And you can use it when you're fishing, when you're running, say 5 knots and sitting here fishing, and you get something, if you're lucky, and then you have to turn it off. So that's the station good for also.
Excellent, excellent. Well, listen, we wish you the best of luck. Absolutely fascinating. It's been a fantastic tour. Yeah, absolutely beautiful, and it's been a pleasure to meet you. Yeah, really good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you too.